very surreal. I've been told I'd have a good voice for podcasting, so we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Hello and welcome to Green and Gold Radio. I'm your host, William Plavin Masters.
Well, you have a very smooth voice. I gotta give it to you.
Thank you.
That intro was very smooth.
I've been rehearsing it for 4 years, so I would really hope so.
I'm glad it's smooth. It's very comforting.
Thank
It's
you.
a very comforting tone.
Yeah. So in addition to shooting this episode of Green and Gold Radio, we're getting footage for this episode of William in the Commons, William in the podcasting studio.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
But let's get to this topic, man. We planned this like months ago, and we
it was
haven't
December
gotten around
of last year. Yeah, December
we
of last
haven't gotten
year.
around to it, and now it's March. So time to
There's
finally.
been a lot of time to digest. There's been a lot more news, too.
You've had so much time to prepare, and now that is indeed recording. And now we're finally going to touch on the World Cup, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The World Cup, man. That was one of the best World Cups I think I've ever seen. And I got to start off by saying this in a very TOK way. As a Brazilian, there is nothing worse than Argentina having success. So to say that this was the best World Cup I've ever watched is just like, it breaks my heart because of who won. But first of all, I think I have to admit that with all respect to anyone else, Messi is the GOAT of his generation, at least. I think Pelé is the king of soccer. I think he will never get that taken away from him. I don't think Messi's got 2 other World Cups left in him. But Messi is definitely the GOAT of his generation. There's the debate, obviously, between him and Ronaldo, right? And Ronaldo is doing things that we haven't even seen, right? He is unprecedented. I personally don't think he's the best Ronaldo. But, alas, I think Messi is the GOAT. Argentina just put on a tremendous performance. I was really excited when I saw that the first 3 days of the games, I woke up to Argentina having lost to Saudi Arabia. And I thought, Messi's done. Messi's washed. Toast. Well, little did I know that he was going to come back and just put on one of the most amazing performances in a World Cup ever. He's scored in every round. He basically now holds every World Cup record that you can hold besides all-time goal scorer, I believe. But just an incredible soccer player. There's not enough words really to describe his quality and his class, and so I have to relinquish that argument that he is for sure the GOAT. I think could do a little more on the club side this year. He's got a really talented team, but we're here to talk about the World Cup.
We are here to talk about the World Cup.
So now, Argentina,
the victors, the
victors,
the winning team.
Messi is the star. Okay.
Yeah.
Argentina did not deserve to win.
Ooh.
Messi deserved to win.
Okay.
Okay?
Why?
Let's start off in goal. Goalkeeper of the tournament, Emiliano Martinez. Fraud. Just fraud. The most fraudulent fraud at this World Cup. Okay? In the final, Emiliano Martinez faced Mbappe 4 times. We'll give him 4 times, obviously. They had some more interactions in game. But there was, I believe, 2 penalties in regular time. Or, I mean, in game time. There was an additional 3rd penalty in penalty kicks. And there was a live action play. Emiliano Martinez in live action, counting the first 2 penalties, faced Mbappe 3 times and lost all 3 times. Now, Emiliano Martinez, famed penalty specialist. You cannot call yourself a penalty specialist, face a guy 3 times like you did Mbappe, and then be considered the best goalkeeper in the world. To me, that is fraudulent beyond fraud. Kylian Mbappe absolutely owns Emiliano Martinez. Okay? All that belongs to Emiliano Martinez should belong to Mbappe at this point. All personal assets, because Mbappe just completely embarrassed him. Okay? Now, another I don't know if I would quite go fraud, but another questionable player for Argentina is Enzo Fernandez, all right? Enzo Fernandez recently got bought by Chelsea for $100 and some million, right? He won goalkeeper. I mean, no, he didn't win goalkeeper. That's a fine. He won young player of the tournament. I don't think he was the best young player on Argentina. I think that would go to Julian Alvarez. Because the guy just gets the ball. He plays midfield. He plays a lot of passes long. If you watch a lot of his highlights, he plays a lot of passes long. A blind squirrel finds a nut. That's the old adage. And Enzo Fernandez, I think, was just a blind squirrel who just happened across some good things. I don't necessarily understand the hype around him. I don't think he's worth all the money that Chelsea paid. I think it would have been a much better investment to go get Julian Alvarez from Man City if I was Chelsea, but Todd Bowley doesn't seem to know what he's doing. Anyway.
That seems to be a reoccurring theme.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. Angel Di Maria, we cannot underestimate him because he scored the first goal, all right? We deserve to be singing this guy's praises up there with Messi for what he does for club tournaments for Argentina. When Argentina, they had that young core that's now their veterans. They won a Youth World Cup. Di Maria scored in that game. In the Copa America, who scored in that final? Messi did not score. It was Di Maria who won them the Copa America. Messi was invisible in that Copa America. In this World Cup, obviously, very visible, very clear. Messi deserved to win that. Argentina, I think, won the Copa America. Messi won the World Cup for Argentina. Di Maria, however, just scores in finals. That's all he does. He's underrated in that way. He's just so good in finals, I guess. He really can turn it on. Yeah, that about sums up my talking points on Argentina, the winner. Now, if you'll allow me, I would care to divulge away to now some of the other teams.
Please do. I mean, the World Cup is more than just one country.
Yeah, it's going to be 48. That was 32, but now it's going to expand next time we see that. In America, of course. I'll get to that later. Yeah.
I didn't hear that, no.
I will say, first team I want to talk about is Morocco. Okay? Their goalkeeper, his last name's Bono. He was absolutely phenomenal. Okay? He, to me, deserves to win keeper of the tournament. He let very few goals in. Their game against France was a very close game. France ended up winning, but I think Morocco, obviously they came in fourth. They lost to Croatia. But I still think we cannot quite sing the praises of them enough. First African team to progress as far as they did. They've got a tremendous young core. I think we'll be hearing something from them maybe in the next World Cup. Maybe not as deep, but I think we cannot sing the praises enough of what they did, because what they did was absolutely incredible. No one really thought that Morocco was going to do that well. And that their group too, in qualifying, I mean, we kind of thought of that group as kind of like a stinker group when Belgium didn't qualify, and it ended up being Croatia and Morocco, and Canada and Belgium were left off from the knockout stages. And I think that group, well, two of the best teams, or two of those teams from the group, are top four in the world based on the World Cup. So I think that was a really intriguing. Looking back on it in retrospect, that was absolutely a very key group to this World Cup. But I think Morocco, they absolutely shocked a lot of people. And I think they're going to reap the benefits of that. I do have a great sound. When Cristiano Ronaldo got knocked out of the World Cup by Morocco, there was a lot of celebrating from Moroccans. Now, This sound has gone viral on the internet. There's a young girl from Morocco who just made my World Cup. Here, take a listen.
Portugal airport is that way. And where's Ronaldo? He's crying in his car.
Poor Ronaldo indeed, Plav.
Yeah, poor Ronaldo.
I mean, that girl just made my World Cup.
Yeah.
It's a delightful sound.
Imagine being in the GOAT conversation 1 month, right?
Yeah.
Being arguably the best player in the world, maybe one of the best players ever, right?
Yeah.
And then you get knocked out of the World Cup. The World Cup, which is supposed to dictate if you are the main competitor that you're going up against at the time, Messi, is the GOAT. And then you lose and you go on your phone to see that video.
Oh.
That's brutal.
That is brutal.
That is brutal.
And that was only the round of 16, so you have to think Ronaldo was like, Messi's going to be gone at some point.
Yeah.
You had that absolutely stacked team in Brazil, which we'll get to later. You had a delightfully good Croatia team. You had Netherlands standing in their way too.
France.
France, of course, as well.
Yeah.
But there were just so many obstacles that Messi, with all credit to him, somehow evaded an absolute minefield. And he navigated it perfectly and got to the crown. But I think also we have to understand that Cristiano Ronaldo is doing things that no one else is doing. I have a stat. This has been obviously post World Cup. Ronaldo's gotten 2 hat tricks, but and some may say it's him playing in a Saudi league, whatever. But Cristiano Ronaldo before 30 had 30 hat tricks. As of right now, he has 32 hat tricks post 30. He's got 62 hat tricks, William.
For our audience, including me, who doesn't watch soccer religiously, what is a hat trick?
A hat trick is 3 goals. 3 goals in a game.
Okay, that's mad impressive. I don't watch soccer, but I know that's impressive.
So he started playing when he was like 18. He's now 37. In 7 years, he's had 32 hat tricks. And that's, in soccer terms, really, he's really past his prime.
Right.
This is like incredible stuff. And also, Messi just scored 700 club goals, too. So that's a record for him. Or it's not a record, but that's a great milestone for him to progress through as well. This is just an absolutely magical generation. And to think about, I'm a little bit of a soccer historian, and I know most of our audience isn't. So, like...
America.
Yeah. But, like, looking back, and, like, I'm very single-minded. Or, I mean, I'm very, like... alone in terms of like being a soccer historian of like the early 2000s, early 90s, like looking back on that, mostly because Brazil was so good. That's why I look upon it so favorably. But there were just some iconic legends. And then to have 2 guys at the pinnacle of their careers going at it in the same league, especially if you look at things from like 2009 to 2015. Those were Messi and Ronaldo at the peak of their performance in La Liga, in the Champions League. Those 2 were going at it. This is like stardom on an unprecedented level. We're absolutely, completely spoiled. And we've had so many other good players like Zlatan who would be legends in other generations. Like just be completely passed over, like looked at completely passed over and ignored in this generation. And I think we've absolutely been embarrassed by riches, quite frankly. Yeah, I just think that Ronaldo, Messi doing some crazy wild things.
All right, fair enough. I mean, like, yeah. So you've gone, bless you. You've gone on a little bit about Argentina.
Yeah.
You said you were a Brazil fan?
Yes, I am. My dad's Brazilian. I'm Brazilian. I'll get into that. This is rough, William. This is rough. Oh, massive underachievers of the biggest kind.
Oh, I'm
titling
the episode that.
I I don't think that we've ever seen, and some would say there's another Brazil team, I forget what year it was, of like a long time ago. Historians would say that's the biggest underachieving side of the World Cup. I think this team is. You look at it, you have arguably two of the best goalkeepers in the world who you have to choose from in goal, and Alisson and Ederson, and your third string Weverton, not bad either. An embarrassment of riches in the goal spot. In defense, you've got guys playing at top clubs in the world like Militao and Thiago Silva. They brought in Dani Alves, who, for those of you who don't know, is ancient. I don't understand why they're bringing him. They should have just brought back Pelé, because he would have scored. He would have done more than Dani Alves. I digress. You have fantastic defenders. You have a midfield that is young, up and coming, and you also have Casemiro, who's an absolute anchor in the middle. Casemiro just fantastic. I thought he was a fraud before this World Cup. Watching him now, just a fantastic player. Needs to do a little more in the World Cup for Brazil, if we're being honest, but whatever. And then you had this 9-headed monster in attack. Every single player on there has flair, and they should be able to score goals. They couldn't score goals, William. They couldn't score goals. I don't understand it. They had, and you're going to say, well, they scored like 5 goals against South Korea. That was against South Korea. They got 5 goals against one team. That was like their most goals, like against any team. Save some for other games, guys. Like, I don't know. We lost to Cameroon in the group stage. I know we had already progressed, but we can't be doing that.
Yeah,
we're so much better. Our bench, I would say, had they just given Brazil their bench, could have made a World Cup run. It's kind of embarrassing. I think that Chichi made an absolute disastrous move, playing guys like Anthony over Rodrigo. Anthony, to me, is just he focuses too much on his little spinny thing and like works with the ball a little too much. And trust me, I love the Brazilian joga bonito as much as anyone. I want to see those guys going out there and just finessing everyone. There was that great video of Vinicius Jr. flicking the ball over the South Korean defender. But guys, we got to score goals. Neymar, to me, and this is what really gets me, the game against Croatia where Brazil got knocked out, Neymar had a World Cup moment. He absolutely got around a brick wall, and I believe his name is Lucic, the Croatian goalie. Or it could be Luvakovic. It's going to get me at some point.
It's something with it.
Yeah. He dribbles around an absolute brick wall and puts one away. That would have been that would have been a World Cup defining moment. That would have been a star really pronouncing himself on the world stage had Brazil been able to progress. And then this is when I get annoyed with Brazil. We get a lead, and then our defense gets into shambles, complete shambles, William. It becomes more about luck than skill and technical prowess. Okay? Just a fantastic defense from Brazil, top players from across the globe. And we play like just this, well, maybe the ball won't go there. No! You guys are winning Champions Leagues for your club. You know how to defend. Close out a game. I'm sorry. It's just, it
Don't apologize.
astounds me. It astounds me. We cannot close out a game. Brazil, if you do not win in 2026, when your prime talent, you're going to have some tremendous talent on that team. If you cannot win in 2026, will we ever win again? I mean, we already have the most. Germany's on our tails. Italy's on our tails. I'm an Italian as well. Them making the World Cup, absolute travesty.
Oh, what, with your last name, Mangetti?
Yeah.
That's not Italian at all.
No, not in the slightest.
No.
I'm actually an Italian citizen, as well as a Brazilian
You
and
really?
American citizen, yeah.
So what is that?
Tri-citizen.
Tri-citizenship. That's
Tri-citizen.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
wild.
So like, hopefully next World Cup I'll have all three in the World Cup.
Yeah, that would be
Italy.
hopeful.
I can't even talk about you. You guys won the Euros and you couldn't qualify for the World Cup. Embarrassment.
Yeah,
Embarrassment.
I was in part rooting for Italy until
yeah.
they just flopped the hell out. It was rough. It was rough.
It was
rough.
awful.
We're adding the Italian and Brazilian teams on Instagram
Yeah.
after this episode.
Yeah.
It's rough. Explain it, please.
Yeah, Italy.
We need an explanation.
Italy, at least I understand because UEFA put them through a really grueling schedule where they had to play like 5 games in a span of like a week and a half. But still, you've got depth, guys. Come on. Brazil.
Just choked. They choked.
It was a choke job
no
of the highest order. That 7-1 loss, that really got me in 2014. 2-1 to Belgium in 2018. That was rough. I think the confidence I had in this team, the confidence I had in 2014 was unparalleled. The confidence I had in this team, though, I just thought they're going to get to the finals, and if they don't win, that will be underachieving. Like, Brazil's the only nation who can say that, really. England can claim that all they want. It's coming home. It's coming home. England, I hate to tell you, it's not coming home.
Yeah, Will Parents.
England,
It's not coming home.
England, it's not coming home. All right. Yeah, but Brazil's the only nation who can go into a World Cup and say with certainty that if we don't make the finals, we've underachieved. If you don't make the finals in 2026, Brazil, I'm gonna have to do some reckoning. I don't know how.
That's fair.
And like I have no control over it, obviously, but like
So this team that you mentioned,
yeah.
their players are relatively young. Like, I'm not that well versed
Yeah.
in Brazil's team.
With the exception of Neymar, all their attackers they're definitely going to be back and probably in their primes for 2026.
Gotcha.
So goal scoring should not be a problem. Should not. Probably will. Anyway, always is. Yeah. And the midfield, the midfield should be back. You got to find replacements for Casemiro and Fabinho. Fabinho might still be around. We'll see what's going on with him. But you've got guys like Guimarães up in Newcastle. Phenomenal midfielder. Doesn't get enough praise for playing up in Newcastle, my team. But whatever. But yeah, their midfield should be good. Their defense should be pretty good. Goalies, they're going to have a lot of veteran experience. Maybe you get a young guy who's going to be really fantastic. I don't know. But it remains to be seen, William. But I think they should be absolutely loaded in attack. Unless we have like 2006 with Kaká, R9, Ronaldinho. That team should have won a World Cup too, looking back at that now. Just about every Brazil team in my lifetime should have won a World Cup.
This seems to be a reoccurring theme with this narrative.
2018, to me, I would understand, like, looking back at it. 2014, Germany.
Yeah. So, what other teams, like, besides Brazil and Argentina, what teams do you think could have made a legitimate run this past year? What teams do you think overachieved, underachieved?
Morocco definitely overachieved.
Yeah.
Obviously a surprise. There will always be the lingering question, what would Senegal have done if they had their fantastic winger Sadio Mane? I think they could have got to the round of 16, maybe no further. Holland, we have to remember, they tied Argentina, took them to penalties. A fantastic team. Shout out to Wout Weghorst. That's just a phenomenal name to say,
That's an
Wout
amazing
Weghorst. He got his move to Man United, so he should be happy. But anyway, Wout Weghorst, phenomenal 2 goals late in the game. Martinez came throwing penalties, but you know my thoughts on him. But I think Holland, had they not run into Argentina, should have made a phenomenal run. I think Germany definitely underachieved. I know you're playing Timo Werner at 9, and so I wasn't really sold on them. I figured they weren't going to do that well, but they absolutely underachieved. Spain. Spain is a team to watch out for in 2026. They are going to have a phenomenal midfield. I would not want to face them. Let's see, who else? Japan, overachiever. South Korea, overachiever. Australia did very well for them. They got to the round of 16, lost to France. France, you did what you were expected to do. You tried to defend it. You defended. You got to the last 4, which was what, in my opinion, what you really needed to do to like say, "Hey, we're still here." You're gonna have Mbappe for a long time. You'll be set. I think in 2026, you're gonna have to watch out for Italy. Assuming they make it, they expanded the field. Italy, if you don't make it. Italy, if you don't make it. This is bad. If you don't make it. Let's see, what else? Uruguay, I think they could have done better. Portugal. Portugal did about what they could do. They're a sneaky watch out for in 2026 because even though they probably won't have Ronaldo, that's going to be a phenomenal team with a lot of the young players they have, like Jota and Ruben Neves and all those guys. Europe is hard because a lot of those teams underperform. I think, to me, you got to watch out for England because of guys like Jude Bellingham. I still don't think they can get it done. If you cannot get it done in Wembley against Italy, who didn't make the World Cup, I know Italy is a phenomenal team, but if you can't get it done in Wembley to win the Euros, I don't think they can get it done in 2026 at least. So you're going to have to wait till 2030 England to even have a shot.
That's rough.
Yeah,
It's just
that's 7 years. You're going to have to wait 7 years, England.
You're going to have to wait almost a decade to be okay.
Yeah, and then you're not going to have Harry Kane, so you're going to have to find a replacement for him.
So we're talking at least 20 years before you are eligible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just look at Brazil.
Will Perrin said you can change your... Oh, what was the phrase? You can change your profession, your hobbies, your house, your wife, your car, your children, but you cannot change your soccer team. And that was...
Will does bring up a good point there. But no, I do not recommend basing your marital advice off of that of wanting to win a World Cup.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
I just hope they win a World Cup in my lifetime.
Brazil?
Brazil, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be phenomenal.
They've got a good track record.
Yeah, they have the best track record of anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, Pele wins 3. Forever the king. Can't do justice to that guy. He was that good. There's not enough film of him out there because he was playing in Brazil in the 60s. So
They didn't
60s
film.
and 70s.
Yeah.
They
just
no,
didn't
all
film.
the film is gone.
No.
Let's see. Let me circle back to Argentina for a moment.
We're circling back.
One of my favorite radio shows that I listen to, they have a sound, and it's "Look at me, Louie." Yeah. Okay. Now, "Look at me, Louie" is like you're really drawing attention to yourself. It's like, look at me. So, "Look at me, Louie" moment from Argentina, right? Final penalty kick goes in. I forget who scores it.
That one guy.
The one guy scores.
Yeah.
Okay. Emiliano Martinez, the Argentinian goalkeeper, is down on the other side of the field by like everyone standing at midfield for Argentina except the goalie and the guy taking the penalty kick for Argentina.
Right.
When the kick goes in, Argentina players start running. Okay? Messi falls to his knees in celebration. Okay? All the other players have run a solid 3 yards at least forward before any of them realize that Messi's down on the ground celebrating. Quite a few of them. To begin with the photo of the GOAT celebrating his World Cup, quite a few of them turn around and run right back to Messi to celebrate with him. 3 or 4 go to celebrate with Martinez, the goalkeeper. That's nice. Good. You were running that way. Kept your trajectory. Fantastic. No one went to celebrate with the goal scorer. So when the fans came out on the field, for Argentina, the goal scorer, the final penalty kick taker, was celebrating with fans, not his own teammates. That's rough.
That's
okay?
rough.
All Argentina circled back to go celebrate with the GOAT, to be in the photos of him celebrating. That is look at me, Louis, to the highest caliber.
Yeah.
All right?
Not good.
I mean, just not good. Anyway. Now, the next World Cup, if you would allow me to segue, in 2026, it's going to be held in 3 countries, William. Do you know where those 3 countries are?
U.S.
U.S.
Canada?
Yep, Canada, 3 cities in Canada. And Mexico.
Yeah.
So, obviously the spotlight has been turned on to North America. There's, I think it's only 2 in Canada, 3 stadiums in Mexico. The spotlight is going to be on the U.S. for the most part. Now, USA. How do we improve as a soccer nation?
We get the kids more involved with soccer. It
William,
starts there.
But William, every small child, what's the first youth sport they play?
Oh, basketball. Football?
They all play
Baseball?
soccer. There are
Oh,
3-year-olds
soccer.
on every field in America.
Yeah, I played soccer.
All 3-year-olds are running around on fields playing soccer.
Yeah.
Now, to me, how do you encourage more people to play soccer?
Money.
Well, and not only how do you encourage them to play soccer, but how do you, because we've encouraged a lot of people to play soccer. We have our own league filled with tons and tons of Americans. It's not like we're getting players from outside leagues. I mean, obviously we are, and those are better players that we're getting from outside leagues. Obviously, you've got to exclude guys like Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna. Those guys are phenomenal, and they're playing in Europe. But how do we as America not be looked at as a joke anymore? Well, number one, it starts off, how about less organized soccer, but just having soccer more prevalent in the culture? Because it kind of works like that in Brazil. In Brazil, growing up, you don't really you don't have a really Sunday league. You kind of go and play on the beach with your buddies, or in most places around the world, you go and play in a field somewhere or on a street corner with your boys or your girls. And in America, it's very much we play on the soccer field at 9:30 a.m. with our little baggie of orange slices, and we come to practice once or twice a week. And when we go home, we turn on Coco Melon.
Where did that come from?
We go home. The 3-year-olds, they go home, they turn on Coco Melon, completely forget about soccer until practice and the game. So, I mean, we got to start just having fun pick-up soccer games with little kids, man. That's how Brazil's been doing it. That's their farm system. Their farm system isn't Sunday league games. It's the beach.
And I mean, this has been a take that has been circulating around the internet for a while now. And I fully back it 100%. But if the United States, with its caliber of athletes, decided to make soccer a cultural thing, there would be no competition. It would be the United States with the caliber of athletes. You look at pretty much any physical sport. You're looking at American football. You're looking at basketball. You're looking at, swimming with Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
You're looking at
Katie Ledecky too. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, you're looking at hockey in its heyday.
Yeah.
You look at the caliber.
Hockey in its heyday, and that's a lot of Canadians and a lot of Russians.
A lot of Canadians, a lot of Russians. I'm thinking of the movie Miracle right now.
That is true. Mike Eruzione.
Yeah.
Phenomenal name, Mike Eruzione.
But if America, with its caliber of athletes, got involved with soccer, I honestly believe that we would be one of the best teams to compete.
I would say one of the best.
I wouldn't say the best. I would say top 3. I'd say top 3 in a matter of a decade.
Because I think Brazil is so close in population size compared to the U.S. that they're still going to be a factor.
And they have the history.
And they absolutely have
The
the history.
alone.
I think, and anywhere in Europe is going to also be similarly close, I think, because they have a lot of phenomenal athletes too. I think a lot of the reason why we don't see more non-Americans in American professional sports is so much because Europe focuses on soccer.
Yeah.
I think you get your occasional Anderson Varejãos from Brazil, like who can play basketball at phenomenal levels. Shout out to Anderson Varejão.
Right.
Favorite Cav.
But then, like, you do look at athletes that come from Europe. You look at Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
You look at Luka Doncic, and they're phenomenal soccer
They're
players
phenomenal
because
soccer
it's part
players.
of the culture.
Oh, yeah. They're phenomenal, but they're phenomenal players in all. So I think so much of the culture of Europe is purely soccer, and in America, it's so split.
Right.
I think that, to me, a guy like a DK Metcalf, not going to be the best soccer player because he's just so huge.
Okay, but you put him in the goal with how he jumps and how he moves.
That's the thing about goalie. Goalie's weird.
Goalies are weird.
Goalie's a weird position because, yeah, maybe. But, like, I think a guy like a Tyreek Hill would be phenomenally suited. Give Tyreek Hill foot skills, and he's out dribbling everyone. He's out speeding everyone. I think guys like that would be the ideal prototype. I don't know as though, I mean, some guys in, like, Germany and Holland, they're huge defenders. Like, they're brick walls. And so I think you could have a couple of those, but you got to have a lot of Tyreek Hills. Yeah.
Talk about prototype. We're just going to clone Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
And just make a whole lineup. Of Tyreek Hill.
Yes. Defense, you need a few J.J. Watts.
Okay.
But give me a back four of J.J. Watt.
Soccer
and then,
would get so much more physical if the America actually cared also.
Oh,
you can't tell me that
it
Americans
would get a lot
not...
more physical, but the problem is with physicality comes disciplinary action.
Yeah.
And so you run the risk of, well, when all my J.J. Watts are on are suspended
We'd just be
for
the
red cards.
We'd just be the Detroit Pistons of international soccer.
We can't have bad boys. We can't have the bad boys because the bad boys can get taken out with the cards. So, USA, how do we take all the momentum that we had from this World Cup? I think we're already starting to lose it, if we're being honest. How do we, like, capture that? Well, number one, this World Cup was phenomenal. I think a lot of people realized that. We got to get more people into the MLS. To me, the MLS should have started a little bit earlier, get some more, like, excitement into soccer. MLS maybe allow more people to sign more free agents or that are high money, high value players. That's, to me, is a big thing about the MLS that I don't like. But anyway, that's another time. I think you got the Women's World Cup coming up this summer. The problem is it's in Australia and New Zealand, which is nearly 12 hours different, so you're going to have to wake up really early if you want to watch Women's World Cup.
Let's be honest, no one's doing that.
No one's doing
that. Even if the American women's team is phenomenal.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
But no one's watching that.
Yeah, it's the only World
midnight.
Cup I think in my life I'll ever see America win.
Sure.
So obviously I celebrate those players because they're phenomenal soccer athletes from my country. Another thing that we're going to have the Copa America in 2024. Now, the Copa America, that's the South American country tournament. It's like the Euros, but for South America. America got invited, and they've decided to host. Messi's going to be playing in our backyard. We've got to get people really excited for the Copa America. Okay? So that's 2024. U.S. soccer, you just have to hold that excitement from having the best players from South America and North America. You've got to hold it for 1 year because then the World Cup is coming. The first advertisement that should show after the Copa America final should be getting people ready for World Cup 2026.
Yeah.
That to me is what needs to happen. You just have to continue that excitement for a long time. You got to really get people excited for the World Cup after the Copa America. You got to build up the Copa America into something exciting, because it is. We're seeing some of the best, most technically gifted players come into our backyard and play soccer. I mean, they're just, like, the South Americans are the most technically gifted of all the soccer countries. Those guys can dribble, and they can put the ball over you. They can put the ball through you. They can put the ball to the side. The European game is a lot about possession and passing. Spain, for example. You play against Spain, it's death by a million passes. If you play against Brazil, it's high-paced. We're going to run up and down. We're going to out-dribble you, and we're just going to out-finesse you. Germany's a lot of power. Argentina, they've got a nice combination of power and finesse. You have to have that balance. Brazil, I think they have that balance. But like a lot of those South Americans, and this is how you create good soccer players in America too. If you can get kids just to like hold the ball at their feet and like dribble around, like for fun.
Right.
Like just become really skilled with the ball. Like Neymar is phenomenal he's one of the most phenomenal players you'll ever see dribble a soccer ball. Guys like Ronaldinho, if you really want to know what good dribbling looks like, he was a phenomenal dribbler. Any guy really on Brazil, phenomenal dribbler. They're just so good. It's so flashy and eye-catching, and especially those yellow jerseys are very eye-catching too. Like we got to really show people these stars and their skill level. It's such an art form, really. A lot of the way the South Americans play soccer, that like it's just incredible. Some of the things they can do blows your mind. And if we can capture the imagination of the American people with things like that, I mean, we're going to have people excited about soccer. We're going to have people wanting to duplicate what those guys have done. Another thing that I think us as Americans should know, we should know a little bit about our own history. Obviously, we don't have a World Cup on the men's side. We have quite a few on the women's side. We have the most of anyone. We have 4. Now, William, America played in the first World Cup in 1930. How did you think they did in 1930? First of all, did you know they played in the first World Cup? Would you have thought they would have? No.
No, I didn't. It makes sense that they would have at the time because, I mean, just from a historical perspective, coming out of the Great Depression, showing unity after the war to end all wars.
Yeah.
You know, plot twist, it didn't.
Yeah.
But, like, trying to show some international compassion makes sense. But
Yeah.
no, I didn't.
Okay. How do you think they did in that first World Cup?
I'm going to say mid at best.
Well, what if I told you they actually came in third place?
I'd be surprised. Is that what you're telling me?
They came in third place, folks.
Yeah.
In the first ever World Cup, Uruguay would say differently. They would say there's other World Cups. But in the first ever World Cup, it's officially recognized.
We don't really care about Uruguay's opinion right now.
In the first World Cup that was officially recognized, America came in third place. That was a really strong start. Okay? In the second World Cup, we lost in the first round because it was only a tournament bracket then. We lost to the eventual champions. So, whatever. And then the World War II happened. And then we just didn't qualify for a long, long time until 1994, I believe, which is when we had
That long of a gap.
and we only qualified because we got an automatic qualification for hosting the World Cup.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's
That's
tough.
really tough.
Now,
So we've only really been doing international soccer for like 30 years.
yes,
That's wild.
with the exception of 1930 and 1934.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, William, I have an incredible stat to share.
We've got an incredible stat here.
Bert Penawad.
That's the most American name I've ever heard.
Bert Penawad was the leading scorer
All right.
on that USA team. Every American should know the name of Bert Penawad. He's our Pele. Okay? He scored 4 goals in the World Cup. Only played in 3 games. But he averaged 1.33 goals per game at a World Cup.
That sounds impressive.
That is incredible.
Bert. Shout out
Bert
to
Penawad.
Shout out to Bert.
Bert Penawad, man. That guy is phenomenal. That guy was phenomenal. Also, if you look up... So I did some research as to that
Clearly.
team. The Bert Penawad team.
Bert Penawad team.
So in the Bert Penawad years, if you look up like some of the names of the soccer teams that were in the U.S. at the time, there are some wild names.
Do you have an example of a wild name?
I am going to do some research right now, but like just mind-boggling.
Do 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 do.
Oh shoot!
Do 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 do. Do 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 do
Oh,
do
shoot!
do
Hold on. USA 1930 World Cup.
do 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 do.
World Cup squad. Okay. Hopefully, Cup squad. All right. These are. I hope the payoff is as good as I recall, because if the payoff is not, for example, Andy Alud played for the Providence Gold Bugs.
Gold bugs.
The Gold Bugs.
Interesting.
Mike Bookie played for the Cleveland Salvia.
Wait, the Cleveland what?
The Cleveland Salvia.
What
I
the
believe
hell is
salvia is a
salvia?
flower.
They didn't misspell saliva? Like, I don't...
No.
Bro, what is a
I don't know.
salvia? All right, that's going on right now.
I guess the New York Giants had a soccer team. This is reminiscent of Europe.
Interesting.
Jimmy Douglas, a very American name, played for the New York Nationals.
Okay, that sounds like an American name.
Yeah, the New York Nationals.
New York Nationals.
A guy named Billy Gonsalves played for the Fall River Marksmen.
The Marksman?
The Marksmen, yeah.
Second Amendment.
Oh, Bert
That's
Penawad! Bert Penawad also played for the Marksmen.
That's very, very American.
And Alexander Wood played in the Detroit Major League of Soccer for the Detroit Holly Carbureteur. I have no idea what that team is. But
Yes, nothing like naming teams after giants, flowers, bugs, and the Second Amendment.
yeah. Nothing like it, William. Yeah. Soccer peaked for the U.S. in 1930. The Cleveland Salvia are no longer around. That's what ended it. Bert Penawad.
Bert Penawad
The
and the
Marksman.
Cleveland Salvia, dude. That's fascinating. Well, in your extensive research, do you have any interesting stuff to close out the podcast with?
I do have a little bit. USA, I think we're fine.
We're okay.
We had a pretty good showing. The problem is, I don't know if you've been, probably not. Most people probably haven't been keeping up with USA news. In terms of soccer, it's a whole drama, folks. If you like drama, let me introduce you to USA Soccer. Anyway, there was some blackmail going on in USA Soccer between the current head coach and a former teammate of his, and a former teammate of the coach of the U.S., and they were teammates at a World Cup. They were, at least publicly, they looked like friends. Greg Berhalter, the coach of the United States, and Claudio Reyna they played together for the USA in the 90s. Claudio Reyna has a son. His name is Giovanni Reyna.
Nice name.
Giovanni Reyna phenomenal young soccer player. He plays at Borussia Dortmund in Germany. He, to me, has the highest ceiling of any player for the U.S. right now. Some would argue Cameron Carter-Vickers up at Celtic. But to me, Gio Reyna, phenomenal. There was some blackmail between Claudio Reyna and Greg Berhalter. I won't get into any of the details. But you can look it up if you want to know more. And this only really came to light. Apparently, it's because the wives were blackmailing each other. I don't know. But and Claudia was not involved. But I don't know. Whatever. But Gio Reyna might not be back on the USA national team because of this. He's our best player too.
Dang.
And it was all because Greg Berhalter wouldn't play him as a starter. Now, he comes off the bench for his club and is absolutely phenomenal off the bench. But I think he's going to be one of our best internationals we've ever seen. And if he can't play in future competitions just because of all this, it's going to be very sad.
Yeah.
And it's not something he did. I don't believe that he authorized the blackmail of a coach. But if they're going to make an example of him, which they probably should, but it's I mean, how do you do that with, in my opinion, your best player? It's rough. So the future of the U.S. men's national team, it's up in the air, in my opinion. I think let's just make it to the knockouts in 2026. If we can get to the last 8, the last 4 seems like a bit of a stretch, but if we can get to the last 8, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Although we should have home field advantage. So last 4
True.
would be phenomenal.
And Americans get rowdy.
Americans
we get so rowdy.
We get a lot rowdy.
It's great.
We need some better fan chants. Let me tell you.
We just need fans. I think that's the issue.
No, we have fans. We can fill stadiums. Our
We need
fans travel.
we
Our
need
fans
fans
travel.
like the NFL needs. We need
Yes.
that kind of fan base.
I think there's a very American perspective to the whole fan thing,
America.
and we want dog pound woof, woof, woof.
Yes,
exactly. That's what we want.
Yes.
But if you look at what teams
what
are
we
doing,
need.
if you look at what teams are doing in Europe, they're singing medieval style ballads about their best player.
And we need to come
Okay.
in there like the ghetto team we are and make everyone terrified of us.
Well, we do, but we gotta have songs that are ringing out around the stadium because USA slow clap, progressively getting faster. That's not doing it.
No, it's
okay?
bad. That's bad.
Okay, we need to be singing medieval ballads about Christian Pulisic, and maybe that will work.
About Bert. We gotta sing
about Bert Penawon. We gotta start singing about Bert Penawon, and maybe the ghost of Bert will show up and inspire one of our strikers to score 1.33 goals per game in a World Cup.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
That would be phenomenal.
Well, USA Soccer up in the air.
Yeah.
You're mad at Brazil.
I'm mad at Brazil. Am I excited for 2026? Heck yeah, I'm excited for 2026.
All right.
I'm gonna go to some games.
Yeah.
I have no idea how I'm gonna fund that, but I'm going to go to some games.
I look forward to it. All right.
It's gonna be fun.
This has been the soccer, the football episode.
Yeah.
The football that doesn't involve.
Time out.
Oh God.
We have some clarifying to do.
We have clarifying to do.
America, we have to talk.
Looking at the camera. Okay. Looking at the camera.
America, we have to talk.
Is this
Unfortunately, it's called football.
It's not though. It's soccer.
William,
It's soccer. It's soccer.
do you know how embarrassing we are to
Yeah.
ourselves on the national or
Oh,
on the
totally.
international stage
100%.
for chanting it's called football? It's called soccer. We have not done squat. Okay? We have not done squat. We tied with England, and we start chanting at them, it's called football.
It's called soccer.
Or it's called soccer. Oh my God. This is poor delivery to the highest extent. Okay, let me restart my rant. The USA has not done squat. Chanting it's called soccer when you have 0 World Cups to England's 1. after you draw against England is completely unacceptable and embarrassing.
But, all right, counter argument. It's also the most American thing ever.
But we don't have to be that, William.
But true, but we are. We very much are.
Until we assert our dominance through a W, we cannot chant that. Had they won, I'd be a little bit more lenient on this. But we drew a goalless draw to England. And
No,
we're
yeah, that's
chanting,
rough.
it's called soccer. And not only that, like if Italy did that, it's called, whatever in Italian, it's called calcio to England. I'd understand that because Italy has 4 World Cups. England has 1. Until we have 1, or until we actually beat England, we cannot chant it's called soccer.
That's fair.
America,
It is called soccer. Though.
America, I'm talking to you. Hold your horses. Because if we win a World Cup, or we beat England, you know what? You can do it in women's soccer. In women's soccer, at a women's soccer game, if we play England, we can chant it's called soccer. But we cannot at a men's game. Because our men's team is embarrassing.
So we just need to get as many Americans to go to women's soccer games, is what I'm hearing. That's all.
America, if you want to chant it's called soccer, go to a women's soccer game.
That's fair.
If you want to chant it's called soccer, do not come to a men's game. Because until we beat England, I mean, unless you want to do it to Canada, but like, come on.
Canada's so nice.
Do they call it soccer in Canada?
No,
I don't
Canada
know.
just gets bullied by the U.S.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that if we just suggest that they call it soccer, they'd be like, okay.
Do they call it soccer in Canada? I don't know. If you're Canadian, let us know.
Yeah.
William's Canadian audience, please let us know. Comment below.
Do I have a Canadian audience?
I don't know. Maybe we do. Yeah, hey, don't say that yet. Don't say that. We don't know.
Do any Canadians go to St. Edward High School? And
If you're a
so,
Canadian, go to St. Ed's, listen to the podcast, or you're just a Canadian who enjoys listening to high school podcasts.
which, by the way, so creepy if you do that. If you don't go to St. Ed's, have no connection to me, and just listen to the podcast.
I don't
and
think
you're
that's
Canadian,
creepy. I think that's funny.
I think that's awesome, and I support
I should start
it,
listening to
and I
podcasts
love
of
it.
like random schools.
I agree.
Just to hear what they're talking about.
But like, if you're just a Canadian dude in your 30s listening to Green and Gold Radio for no reason,
Yeah.
all the love to you, that's so weird.
Yeah. Hey, don't ostracize your audience, man. You never know.
I just said I love it.
There's definitely a 30-year-old Canadian listening to this right now. They're probably related to Bert Penwad.
Oh my God. All right.
They're like, that's my grandpa. Let's go.
We immigrated to Canada because America sucks. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, USA, we're going to have to hold in the men's game when it's against England. We're at least going to have to win.
At least win.
At least win.
It's a necessity.
And then we can't have the whole stadium. We just have to have a quiet, like, it's called soccer, it's called soccer, it's called soccer. Like,
Whole stadium.
yeah, we're just whispering. We can only whisper. When we win the World Cup, then it doesn't even have to be against England.
No,
when
the
we win the
second-
World Cup, we can stand up and shout, it's called soccer, it's called
The
soccer.
second we win the World Cup, it is no longer football. It is no
Yeah.
longer football. It doesn't matter if they've been calling it football for 100 years.
No.
It's not football anymore.
It's soccer.
It is soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great spot to leave it.
All right. Well, it is called soccer for the
It
record.
is called soccer.
This
May
has-
Bert Penwad rest in peace.
May Bert Penwad rest in peace.
America's Pele.
America's Pele.
I want a Bert Penwad t-shirt.
I want.
I have no idea what Bert Penwad looks like. I just want...
Oh, he for sure had a big mustache, and he was for sure.
for
like,
sure had a big mustache.
He for sure
Hang on,
was
I think we got
like. Okay, he's gonna pull it up. All right. While Cooper pulls that up, this has been Green and Gold Radio. Also, William in the Commons for some reason because we're double dipping on this episode. I am William,
I'm Cooper.
and
We're looking at Bert Penwad.
we're-
Bert Penwad. Oh no,
picture
he's the
of Bert
no. He's the most vanilla-looking American soccer player of all time. I wanted a guy with like big frizzy hair and like
me see
a
that.
giant Fu Manchu, but we're left with that. That is our Pele.
to the camera. Nah,
Pele.
nah.
I'm depressed, folks.
All right, this has been Green and Gold Radio. I'm your host, William Plavin Masters. That's Cooper. I guess we'll see you next week.
This
I'm
episode
depressed
is in
now.
shambles. This episode is in shambles.